Welcome to English Without Limits. In today's lesson, we're going to review some of the things that we have learned in this section of the course. This section of the course began with lesson 31, and we've learned a lot of things since then. We've learned about telling time, how to say it's 4 o'clock or it's 6:30. We've learned about money. Money is things like dollars and cents, quarters and nickels. We've also learned different things that you might use on the phone, different ways to speak to someone, to give an invitation, how to answer the phone, that kind of thing. Well, in today's lesson, we're going to review some of the things that we have studied in the past few lessons. So let's begin this by looking at the past simple tense. Let's join the class now as they begin to review the past simple tense.
Good morning, class. I was just reading a newspaper article today, and I was going to read you what I read. The first article is about a bear. It says, yesterday, a bear jumped over a fence at the zoo. He walked for 20 kilometers and ended up on Main Street. People on the street were very scared. Finally, they caught him and returned him to the zoo. Oh, that would have been scary. And the second one says, a bank downtown was robbed at 2 p.m. on Tuesday. The alarm sounded and the police were called. The thief was handcuffed and jailed. Friday, the bank will reopen. Oh, so those are interesting articles. I guess that's what happened yesterday.
Did you hear the teacher reading those newspaper stories? Let's go over them again and see if you can understand something about the past tense. Here are her stories. Yesterday, a bear jumped over the fence at the zoo. He walked for 20 kilometers and ended up on Main Street. The people on the street were very scared. Finally, they caught him and returned him to the zoo. That was the first story. Let's listen to the second story. A bank downtown was robbed at 2 p.m. on Tuesday. The alarm sounded and the police were called. The thief was handcuffed and jailed. Friday, the bank will reopen. When are these things happening? Are they happening right now? No, they're not. Are they happening in the future? Tomorrow? Next week? No, they're not. These things happened in the past. How do we know that? Well, one way we know is that there is a clue in some of the words in the story. When it says, yesterday, a bear escaped. That tells us yesterday, in the past, is when these things happened. There is also a clue in the form of the words. Let's look at the words that were used, the verbs, in this story, and see if we can find a pattern. What words did we have? We had jumped, walked, ended, caught, returned, robbed, sounded, called, handcuffed, and jailed. Do you see a pattern in these words? If you do, you will understand something important about forming the simple past.
This is ED. This, when you add it to the end of a word, it'll mean that word is in the past. So do you remember the first bit of our story? It said a bear jumped over a fence and he got out of the zoo. So where do you think, if this is jump, where do you think this would go? Jump. On the beginning, on the end? The end. So right here, he jumped over the fence. So that means it's in the past, right? What about the other one? He walked for 20 kilometers. Right here? He walked for 20 kilometers. All right, so one of the things we know then is if we're using verbs in the past tense, these are all verbs, right? These are action words. If we want to make it in the past, we just add ed. So all of these words we can add ed to, except for this one. Do you remember hearing this word from the story? He was caught, the thief was caught who robbed the bank. Does this word sound like it's in the past? No? He was caught. What about if I said in the present, they catch? Does it seem like a different form of that word? Yeah? Okay, so maybe that's right. This one is an irregular verb, but we'll talk about that later. What I want you to notice is that most words use ed on the end, and that means that they're in the past.
Do you see how we make the simple past form with most verbs? With most of them, we just add ed to the end of the verb, and that makes it in the simple past. We take the present form of the verb, add ed, and it becomes the past form. So, for example, I could say, today I play. Yesterday I played. That's the simple past. Or today I jump. Yesterday I jumped. Or I could say, today I call. Yesterday I called. So do you see that this makes it the simple past? Now we're going to join the class as they do a worksheet together. I will put the text, the words of this, on the screen, and I will put a blank where the correct answer should go. I will give you the word in the present, and you must put the word in the blank in the past tense.
So the first one says, we blank my grandmother at the hospital yesterday and brought her flowers. Seblu, what did you put? Visited? Yeah. Yeah, we visited my grandmother because she was sick. Okay. Number 2. Yesterday, Mary and I went to the park and we did what in the soccer field? Sar. We played. Yep. Good job. Number 3. The band concert blank at 6 o'clock p.m. Started at 6 p.m. Number 4. After dinner, he blanked up the table and washed the dishes. Lair?
He washed the dishes.
He washed the dishes, so he cleaned. Good job. Number 5. At ballet class, they blank a new song. They danced to a new song. Does everyone know what ballet is? Yeah. Ballet is dance. Number 6. The mailman blanked over the fence when he saw the dog running towards him. 2.
Jump.
He jumped. Yeah. Good job, you guys. So all of those words had an ed on the end of them, so they all happened in the past, right? All of those actions. Good job.
Now we have a rule in English for how we form the simple past of most verbs. We put ed on the verb, and that makes it past. Now that's the way it works for most verbs, and we call these verbs regular verbs. These are the ones that follow the rule. When you want to put them in the past, you just put ed on it. I cook is today. I cooked was yesterday. And so that's the rule. But some of these verbs are what we call irregular. That means not regular. They don't follow the rule. Now these are often very different. They don't follow any rule. Each one is different. So the teacher in this lesson, she took a number of irregular, not regular verbs, and she put these on pieces of paper on the wall. She gives the students pieces of paper with the simple past of that verb. And they must go up and put the simple past with the present of that verb. Well, let's join the class and see how well they do on this task.
So I've got eat. Who has the past tense of eat? Ate, right? Ate. Can you bring it up, Nay? And we'll put it, I'll get you to put it up here. Right up here. Thank you. Nay has ate. Now the past tense of give. What is the past tense of give? Gave. Do we have gave? Nay again. Nay has gave. Well, I think she just won a prize. 2 in a row, right? Gave. Thank you. Okay. The past tense of begin.
Begin.
What? Say it again. Began. Sar has began. We began the lesson early. Began. Now, you said you don't know how to swim. And that's interesting because last weekend I went to the pool and I swam with my friends. Who has swam? Nay, again. Thanks, Nay. Good. Now this is a tricky one. Take. Take. What word do you have?
Took.
Perfect. You said that perfectly. Took. Great. I know some information because it's in my brain. Yesterday I knew the answer. Oh, and Sar has the answer. Knew. Sar knew the answer because he had it. Thanks, Sar. Now, who has the past tense for fall? Fell. Oh, again. Fell. When you were walking to school this week, did you ever fall down on the ice?
No.
No? I fell down on the ice this week. I fell one time. And so now I walk very carefully. Now, how about sing? Past tense of sing.
Sang.
Sang. She sang like her favorite star. Now, these two are interesting words because we have to take off the Y. And instead of say, what is our past tense word?
Say.
Bring it up, please, too. Said. And said really doesn't look like this. Said is how we pronounce this, even though it's AI. When we hear the word, we hear said, right? Said, but it's AI. This is kind of confusing because for pay, we also have AI. Who has the past tense of pay?
Paid.
Paid. So for paid, we say the long A sound, paid. He paid the bill. He paid the bill, right? And now, we're already speaking about the next one. Who has past tense of speak? Lur has it. And how do you say that, Lur?
Spoke.
Very good. Spoke. And there's one more for bite. For bite. Who has the past tense of bite? Let's look at this. It's a short I sound. Can you put it up all the way at the bottom there? Thank you. How do we say this one? Bit. 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 I bit into the cookie. I bit into the pizza. Okay? If I was offering you some, I might say, would you like a bite? No? But if I've already had it in my mouth, I bit. Short I, bit.
Now the teacher could not deal with all the irregular verbs in this one lesson. That would take a very long time. There are actually many irregular verbs in English, but still the number of regular verbs, the normal ones that follow the rule, is much, much bigger. So most of the time, verbs will follow the rule. And when you know that rule, you can take a verb and put it into the simple past very easily by adding ed. With irregular verbs, each one is different. So you must simply learn them and memorize them. We're going to show you a list of these irregular verbs on the screen in just a moment. And I'm going to ask you to pause the video and write them down. There is a list of these irregular verbs on the disc that came with this video, and if you have that, you won't need to write these down. But if you don't have that list, then when the list comes on the screen, you can pause it every now and then and write down these irregular verbs. The first one is the simple present, and the second part of each one is the simple past. And so learning these will help you. Sometimes the present and the past are the same with a verb like hit. Or sometimes they are spelled the same, but they are pronounced differently. And so it will help you if you learn these. I know it takes a lot of work, but you must simply learn these, and then you will be able to recognize them when you see them. All right? Here comes the list. Get ready to write them down.